Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host Joe Staszak and Steve Kallas. How you doing, Steven?
All good, Joe. Great to be with you as always.
Yeah, well, not so good in Philly land. A couple of big games last night. Uh, I thought both of them would go better than they did. Let's start with baseball. 11 innings. Jesus Luzardo pitched a gem of a ball game. The bullpen got him to the 11th. They couldn't really score runs, which has been a problem for this team, but they kind of had the Dodgers on the ropes. And then in the 11th inning, Dodgers get second and third with two outs. They walk Shohei Ohtani on purpose. Oh, sorry, that was earlier actually, because then Mookie Betts, they walked in a
Oh,
run.
right.
So it's 1-1, and then all hell breaks loose in the 11th inning with the bases loaded, and Ryan Kirkland's in the game, just needing one out, gets a tapper back to the mound, goes off his glove. Plenty of time still to get to first. I think he just panicked and he went home. I think even a good throw home, he doesn't get the runner. He throws it over Real Muto's head, and Real Muto's pointing to first to throw it to first was one of those that will go down in Philly lore, and we'll still, it's not Joe Carter, but we'll be replaying that in our minds for a long time in Philadelphia.
Well, tough way to lose. I mean, you feel bad for Kirkering, but you got to know where to go with the ball. I mean, what's the first thing they tell you in Little League? Know if the ball's hit to you, where are you going to?
Nowhere to go with it.
And you could see Real Muto pointing to first, but there's no way you go down on the ball wherever you are and miss it or drop it, deflect it off him, right?
Deflected.
There's no way you're looking at the catcher to see where to throw the ball. You're going to have the sense, and I assume, but don't know, the real Muto was screaming his head off. First base, first base, first base. But you know that doesn't mean they were going to win, but it certainly means they would have got to the next inning and still giving themselves a chance to win. But it's just kind of sad. I picked the Dodgers to win before the season, grudgingly, before the playoffs, grudgingly. But I still think they have a big chance. But it's gifts like that, and make no mistake, that's a gift. You feel bad. I did see, was it Trey Turner after the game who was saying, we lose. I know Rob Thompson said we all lose together.
Wins the team, loses the team. Yeah, I get it.
And he also went up to Kirkring right when he was coming off the field. I mean, the guy
Yep.
was crushed. You saw him bent over at his
He was
knees
crushed. He was
after
crushed.
it dawned on him. Uh, I don't know if it's Bill Buckner in 1986, but you know what? It's in the neighborhood. You could argue it's worse because that sent them home. And at least in the 86 World Series, the Red Sox had a chance to beat the Mets in Game 7 and didn't, of course. So I feel bad for the guy. Um, The whole thing on the double play when the Phillies did score, it wasn't a 3-6-3, it was a 3-6-1 double play. And I don't know if the pitcher, I think you said maybe he was trying to get his foot on the ground and catch the ball at the same time. But the ball was a very catchable ball. It wasn't like you really had to reach or
He
dump or
missed
dive
it.
or
He missed
scoop.
it.
And this is the big time. These are the big games. These are the difference between winning and losing. And fortunately for the Dodgers, the Phillies made a bigger mistake later on in the 11th inning, and that's how the Dodgers got out of town. They're not great. I thought they would be great before the season. They're not great, but I still picked them to win. Not that I want to, but I picked them to win before the season and before the playoffs, and I don't see anything to really change my mind on that, frankly.
Well, they did get to the bullpen. It just didn't work. And Shohei Ohtani, I mean, if you told me before the series he'd go 1 for 17 with like four
We
strikes,
win. We win.
I thought we'd be in better shape than that. But it did not happen. I mean, listen, they've beaten the Dodgers a lot recently in the '08 series to get to the World Series. But I remember growing up, there were Gary Maddox, the line drive from Ron Say, and he dropped it. And then there was a lot of nightmarish things that happened in LA. So those two teams have a history, and it's pretty much a back and forth history. But I mean, it was a pretty epic game last night, pretty epic game the night before. Phillies just found ways to not quite make the play when they needed to in on all three games leading up, and including last night. They needed a hit. Bader comes in with a man on base in scoring position. works a count full, and then swings at a ball like a Steve Carlton slider in the dirt. And things like that. They didn't little things that I think the Dodgers did better. Like Mookie Betts walked in a run. Hard to take the pitch he took. It was right down the middle, a little high off the box. So
Yeah.
technically, to the fans, it looked like a ball. I'm not going to complain about it, but he took that pitch and he walked in a run.
Game of inches,
Game of inches. That tied the
maybe
game.
game of an inch.
Game of an inch. You know what I mean? And that's what some players do. And the Phillies don't quite have that discipline, that plate discipline.
Yeah, I should speak briefly on the Yankees who went out with a whimper. They didn't go out with a bang. They went out with a whimper, and it was just I don't even know what to say. Do you keep Aaron Boone around? How long do you keep Aaron Boone around for?
Is
We're
it
gonna
going to make
do
a
it next
difference?
year. We make the playoffs every year. What is the making the playoffs now in sports? You come in 10th place in the NBA, you can make the playoffs. Seven teams make it in football now, or I lose count. Six, seven. I don't
Well,
even
what are
know.
they actually missing? I mean, Garrett Cole last year, the year before, that was their guy, and they still didn't get it done. They got to the World Series and got hammered by the Dodgers. What exactly are they missing, and would a change affect anything? Because
I
I
don't
think
know.
a manager marginalized now because I think the lineup comes from up top, which is the analytics department, and then you manage the game, I guess, which is not a lot to do.
Well, but look at a guy like Chisholm, who was livid that he didn't start the first game, and hit a big home run, as you know, hit a big home run after. I give Aaron Judge a little credit. He had 500. He was like 13 for 26, and he hit that humongous three-run homer. Um, but he also swung at that terrible pitch one game with the bases loaded, down and away. Everything is so made so much bigger in the playoffs, as you know. And you really don't, at least in the World Series, you have a seven game, you could play seven games, but best of three, best of five. I mean, Ted Williams played in one World Series in 1946. He was terrible, but there were rumors he had really hurt his elbow and he could barely swing. You look at Willie Mays' numbers, even Mickey Mantle's numbers. Yes, 18 home runs in the World Series, I might add, most ever, still most ever. But it's such a small sample. But this is how it is. I mean, in the NFL, it's like a three-game sample at most, maybe four. And but the Yankees went out with a whimper. I don't know that Aaron Boone's the answer. I don't know. I mean, even Joe Girardi won a championship with the Yankees. But now, who are the Yankees really? Look, I'm a forever Yankee fan because my father was a forever Yankee fan going back to, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. But they've got one championship in 25 years. Who are the Yankees? You know what they've become to me? They've become the baseball version of the Montreal Canadiens. For decades in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, I think even into the 70s with Dryden, the Yankees with World Series and the Canadians with Stanley Cups were very close, very similar. And then the Canadians, I think they won in 83 and they've won nothing since. And of course, in the interim, the Yankees had the 4 out of 5 years. They won in 98, 99, and 2000, right? 96, 98, 99,
93 is the
2000.
last time the Canadians won a cup.
Yeah, so they're four or five behind. But my point is back when the Canadians played then, four teams made the playoffs. You only had six teams in the league. Back when the Yankees won the pennants, they used to say the Kansas City Was it? Yeah, the Kansas City Athletics were like a farm team for the Yankees. I think they got Roger Maris from them. I mean, they got some big time players. But nowadays, everybody's more analytical and everybody has more money. And so the Yankees have won one in 25 years. So who are the Yankees now? I mean, I'm a Yankee fan, but who are the Yankees? What can they do next year? They just need more consistency in the clutch. I mean, look at the home run numbers they put up. What I was talking about Chisholm is not because he shouldn't have been angry. It's good when you don't play and you're angry. But that rocket shot that came back to him, that could have been a double play. It would have been a great play if he caught it. But the complaint here is whatever happened to getting in front of the ball.
Mhm.
He didn't get in front of the ball. That's why they scored 2 runs. If he knocks it down, they score 1 run. Big difference. So disappointed in the Yankees, not surprised. Um, Yeah, now these are other things I hate to see these records. I'll just say them quickly. So Judge, when he hit that home run, and the ball was like 6 inches inside, but he hit a 3-run homer to tie it up. There was his sixth home run in the postseason when his team was facing elimination. It's tied for the most in Major League Baseball history with David Ortiz. Okay, but what does it mean? Here's the one that really infuriates me. Most home runs to tie or take the lead, New York Yankee history in the playoffs. Derek Jeter has 12 of those home runs to tie or take the lead. And I don't know if that means if you hit one in the first inning, you took the lead, it's 1-0. I don't know. But it says most home runs to tie or take the lead, New York Yankees playoffs. Jeter has 12, Bernie has 11, and they put it up in this way. Jeter 12, Bernie 11, Aaron Judge 10, and Babe Ruth 10. Now, how many games did Babe Ruth get to play in a playoff series?
Mhm.
If he could play 3 games and then 5 games is 8, and then 7 games is 15, and 7 games is 22, he'd have 100 home runs. He'd probably have 40 that
Yeah, would.
I just can't take it. They just put all these things together. Um, but I thought the Chisholm, now again, Chisholm hit a home run to put him in the lead. Um, when they were down 2 games to none, right? After Judge's 3-run homer. But that playing he just seems to be upset still about not playing the first game, and I think he should play the first game, but he didn't. And I thought he just chickened out a little on that ball. You got to be able to take a shot in the stomach or a shot in the chest to save a run in a playoff game. And I think he didn't. If you come up with that ball, it might have been a double play. But the guy did hit a rocket. I forget who it was, but he hit a rocket. And that began the beginning of the end, I would say, in this game. So, I don't know what else to say about the Yankees. I'll say quickly, the Cubs shut out the Bruins 6-0 last night, so they're forcing a game 5. And the Tigers forced a game 5 with Seattle, and they got their main man, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, starting for them. So we'll see what happens. But I thought the Dodgers were lucky. I don't know if the Phillies were unlucky, Joe, or just, I hate to say it this way, but just plain stupid because that's a play you got to be thinking in your head if it comes back to you, you're going to throw the first.
Made a bad play. Panic. I thought he panicked.
I think you're right, but it's kind of sad. Seems like a good guy. Didn't see an interview with him, but obviously his teammates were covering for him, as was the manager, and that's a good thing to say. But that's why they lost the game.
Well, they lost the
I hate
game.
when they after the game. Oh, there, especially in football. Oh, there's 7 different ways that pick six, like quarterback throw, wasn't what lost the game. Well, yes, it was.
It was, right.
And I know you're trying to do the right thing by your teammates, but there are in all sports there are certain plays that do win or lose the game. That's just the way it is. And that last
Just the
play
way it goes. That's just,
by a Philly pitcher, that was not only losing the game, but getting eliminated. We'll see you next year.
you got to suck it up, unfortunately. Let's turn to football because the other Philadelphia team, while the other one was busy getting eliminated, the other team, the football team, was not showing itself well at MetLife Stadium. I didn't think they came out with energy or urgency, and I think the Giants did, and that's a big difference in the NFL sometimes because they're all NFL players, and I thought they smacked the Eagles around. The Eagles couldn't tackle anybody. Chunk plays by um, the Giants. Cam Scatteroo had a big game. They couldn't tackle Jackson Dart. Hurts missed a wide open Devontae Smith, which could have changed the complexion of the game in the third quarter. And then he threw almost a pick six, first interception of the year. They got nothing going, and they seemed very disinterested and about being there, which to me is a bigger problem.
Yeah, well, they can't seem to run it even remotely like they did last year. I don't know if everyone's putting eight in the box or they're just ganging up on Barkley, but at 12 carries for 58 yards, then that's almost 5 yards a carry. That's not terrible, but that's not Barkley either. I mean, here's a guy who ran for 2,000 yards last year, right? He's got 18 carries the last 2 games, 12 yesterday and 6 the week before. They can't seem to run the ball. I think you'll tell me they've got injuries on the offensive line, which is always the secret key that nobody looks like, but that nobody looks at. But that's to me one of the main reasons they won it all last year. So they got to get healthy. Goddard had a super day, 9 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. But I got to say, Dart and Scatterboo, talk about fan favorites now, right? They've made it, and the Giants have a good defense. I mean, that was no fluke. They have a good defense, and Brian Burns, 2 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. The Eagles just can't seem to put it together. A.J. Brown, 6 catches for 80 yards. Was he happy? I don't know. Was he happy? They lost. He shouldn't be happy.
Hmm.
Uh, the Eagles were third down. They were 1 for 9. I mean, these just aren't Eagles stats. I mean, it really is incredible. But again, you have to give Giants have a good defense to begin with Russell. Russell Wilson came in for 2 plays when Dart, who's got to be careful because he put his head down. I thought he got hit in the head twice. They put him in the blue tent. I don't know if you saw what happened. Dable thought he was going to miss one play. And after the first play, he ran over to the blue tent trying to get his guy back on the field. But he missed 2 plays. And in the second play, poor Russell Wilson, you almost feel bad for Russell Wilson. He was terrible last year. He was terrible this year, except he threw for 450 yards in one game. And he's like an afterthought. He threw one pass that was like 3 yards short, and he got booed when Dart came back in the day. But between Dart and Scatterboo, 19 rushes, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. We were talking about it before. He's Pacheco, but stronger. Pacheco runs like with violence. This guy runs with, I want to kill you.
This
And
guy is going to be an NFL player for a while.
yeah, and you don't want to play the Giants now. I know the Broncos play the Giants next week after this week, but after this Sunday, they're playing the Jets. So maybe, before you'd mark that off on the schedule as 2 wins. Now I think you mark it off on the schedule as 1 win.
Hmm.
But gotta give the Giants credit. The Eagles are in the group now with, fill in the blank. They're in the group with the Chiefs. They're in the group with the Bills. Uh, I won't even say they're in the group with the Ravens because the Ravens, I mean, they can't seem to solve anything. And I don't know that Lamar's even going to play this week. But, gotta give the Giants a lot of credit. And the Eagles, they had that, what they have, a team meeting, or it was just a few guys on the team
I
met.
think it was Saquon, Jalen, and AJ.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
don't know. I mean, they're at the gym every day at 5:30. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't think it's uncommon for them to get together and talk. I didn't know if it was like a heads of state meeting. I don't know.
well, it seems to me they got to be able to. Now, look, Hurts is 24 for 33 for 283 yards, a touchdown, which, again, one of these, I don't like these touchdown passes, Joe. That was
Oh, the shovel pass.
yeah, if it goes forward, I understand it's a pass, but whatever. And then he did throw that pick, and apparently, I don't know if it was Scott Van Pelt, but somebody said, whoever was doing the game, it's such a pain. You got to get Amazon Prime for this game, or else you can't watch it. I mean, it's just, ugh. But somebody said that the whole game Hurts was looking left. So I don't know if you picked up on that.
It was a towel.
Simple down and out by Flott, who made a great play and almost, what did he run, 60 yards? I mean, he almost
Hmm.
ran it back all the way. That was a gigantic play in the game. I give Darnold a lot of credit. He's going to have to protect himself. I don't know if he understands that yet. 17-25 for 195, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown. This guy's incredibly athletic. I'm not going to say he's Lamar, but he's incredibly athletic. And if he's in the open field, here's a newsflash. You're going to have a lot of trouble tackling him. I mean, he went by a couple of guys on that touchdown run like we were playing
Yeah,
in Central Park or something.
agreed.
So give the Giants credit. The Eagles have to go back to the drawing board. I think they have to get healthy in the front line, and I think they have to run the ball real well. And defensively, I don't know if they got out physical because again, the Scatterboo guy, you don't want to tackle him. They used to say, "Oh, the cornerbacks and the safeties at the end of the game, they have to make a business decision."
This is,
But with this guy, again, like Pacheco when he was healthy, it's going to be hard to tackle him.
all right. One game I want your thoughts on, then we'll do picks because I think it's a game that pops off the page. It's the Lions at the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's a night game, and the Lions, I think, are the most buttoned up team in the NFL. The Chiefs are coming off a loss, but they can look like the Chiefs. I don't think they are the Chiefs, but they can look like the Chiefs. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I don't know if Worthy's going to play. Again, to me, they became a different team.
He's not.
If he's out, then they don't have the speed yet. I get what they get Rashid Rice after game six,
6.
and this is game six, so they get him
Hmm.
back next week. Um, I don't know. I'm not going to say the Chiefs have gotten old, but I don't think Kelsey is the dominant player he was. I still think Mahomes is the magician, and that's why I thought they were going to win. To your credit, you were 3-0 last week, but to your credit, you like the Jags. I like the Chiefs. I'm like ready to call you up when the Chiefs go up four late. Thankfully, I didn't. But I blame that on Butker because he
He did
put them on the
40-yard
40
line.
yard line and
Yeah.
they had to score a touchdown if you put them on the 20 or the 25. But whatever. I don't think the Chiefs, I don't know who the higher echelon teams are now, but the Chiefs are a little behind them. Now you have to see Worthy gets healthy, who was knocked out by Kelsey, right? He got hurt
Yes.
by Kelsey. Um, and then you got to see if Rashid Rice comes in the first week. Is he going to be in shape and healthy and ready to go? And is Worthy going to get back? Because then they got the speed burners. But Spags didn't really perform well in my mind at the Jaguars. And I give the Jaguars a lot of credit. Now they're a team you don't want to play. Before the season, you were like, yeah, they'll be okay. But Lawrence is playing real well. He's another guy who runs and takes hits. And you go down the quarterback list for this. I mean, I think the Lions are the best team. What happened to them at Green Bay, I think you can say is a one-off first game of the year and stuff. But they've been the Lions since then, and they're putting up what, 30 a game? If they don't put up 30, you're surprised.
Hmm.
So I think they're real tough, and I think I like them in this game because of the timing of the year right now. Again, no Worthy, no Rashid Rice. They're not great. And I think we talked about Chris Jones, right? He got some grief on that last play when the Jaguars scored. He was just kind of walking across the goal line, which was kind of weird, parallel to the goal line. He didn't seem to make that effort. Maybe he thought the play was over when Lawrence dropped the ball, but that was disappointing. And it looks like they're doubling him to death. He's still Chris Jones. So I don't know that they have the other guys like they used to have.
They
Um,
don't really. I think they're a team on the downside, but they can come up and play like the Chiefs
e-
once in a while. But I like,
exactly.
well, I'll tell you who I like in a sec. Let's do picks. You are welcome to go first.
Yeah, I was 2-1. I filed a protest with you because Butker put him on the 40-yard line and you rejected that protest. So somehow didn't win by 3 or 3.5. But I was 2-1. You were 3-0. I think this is our final week, right? This is our final week
Some
of
information.
we have to pick real winners next week or something.
Yeah.
Well, I've got three games. A few of them go against the Joe Staszak rules, but I'm trying to learn by next week anyway. I got Denver and London -7 over the Jets. I think the Jets, unlike the Giants, don't have the keys to be a lot better. And I think Denver, again, we disagree, but Denver has a really, really good defense that I think is going to keep them in virtually every game. They could be 5-0, but they're not. They're 3-2. But they had a big win last week. That what doesn't look as big now, Joe? The Broncos' big win last week doesn't look
I just don't believe in the Broncos.
okay. I got Denver -7. The Jets are home, but they're playing in London. I got the Bucks -3 at home against the 49ers. I understand Mac Jones is playing well. Doesn't look like Purdy's going to play again. But for some reason, talk about MVPs. You can talk about Baker in the MVP talk now. So Bucks -3 at home over the 49ers. And I'll take the Bills on the road -4.5 against the Falcons. How about you?
Okay, looking to bounce back from that Patriots loss. Well, I like the Lions on the road getting 2.5 against the Chiefs. I think they win the game outright. I like the Commanders now that they have Jaden Daniels back, laying 4.5 to the Bears. Don't believe in the Bears much, and I think the Commanders will get it going with him. And the other game I like a little bit is the Jags getting a point and a half at home against Seattle. That's very close matchup. Are the Jags for real? I don't know, but they're getting points at home, coming off the big win over KC. I'll
Yeah.
take them over Seattle that has to drive, that has to fly across the field for that 1 o'clock game on Sunday. So I have Jaguars, I have Detroit, and I have the Commanders for week 6 in the NFL. Good stuff, my friend. You can check out Steve's stuff on his weekly Facebook forum.
Well, I just want to do
Oh,
briefly.
yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
The NHL started this week. I don't want to go into who we like to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, that's almost starting to be like a pain to do those things. But I did want to point out, and I want to thank Steve Wishner, who's one of the 475 members on Speaking of Sports on Facebook, Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas. We did a big thing on Dryden like a month ago or a little longer than a month ago. Ken Dryden, one of the greatest goalies who ever lived. In the interim, and I don't have excuses. I was out of town for a week. I was under the weather a little bit, but Steve Wishner reminded me, bad things come in threes. And you got Ken Dryden and then Eddie Giacomin a few weeks ago and Bernie Parent. So I just want to talk briefly about Giacomin and Parent. And I know you can talk about Parent, obviously, from the Broad Street Bullies Stanley Cup winning games. But Eddie Giacomin died at the age of 86 a few weeks ago. Um, Hall of Famer, incredible goalie. Jersey retired in 1989 by the Rangers correctly. But the thing that stands out to me, besides losing the 1972 Cup to the Boston Bruins, and I don't think Rangers had made the final since 1950, so that was 22 years. And of course, they wouldn't win a cup till 94. But Giacomin on Halloween in 1975 was waived by the Rangers. And we thought it was a joke. We thought it was like April Fool's Halloween. This can't be true. And he was claimed by the Red Wings. Maybe they thought nobody would claim him, but he was claimed by the Red Wings. And 2 days later, Joe, November 2nd, 1975, I was there. 2 days later, he came back to the Garden. The first game for the Red Wings after they claimed him and after the Rangers cut him, and the first game for the Rangers was against the Red Wings at Madison Square Garden. So I went, and I'm telling you, it was the most emotional. I was in the stands in 1969 when the Mets won the World Series, which was like, the greatest upset of all time. But this day, when Jockman came out in a Red Wing, I mean, it's like Joe Namath in a Rams jersey or whoever Joe Namath
Right.
for. Um, it was so emotional. We just started cheering like crazy. Eddie, Eddie, chanting, chanting, standing room, applause. We rooted for the Red Wings the whole game. It's the only game I've ever been at where I saw that my team was being rooted against, and I was one of the guys rooting against them. The Red Wings did win the game 6-4, and you read the things now. Oh, he led them to a 6-4 victory. No, no, Giacomin wasn't even good in that game. Gave up four goals in the mid 70s. That wasn't so good. It wasn't like the go-go 80s where you might say, "Oh yeah, Edmonton beat us 8-4, but we scored 4 goals." But whatever. But I just, a great guy. I got his autograph like 63 times for whatever that's worth. But Hall of Famer again, number retired, did make the Cup Finals. I think he was an All-Star like 6 times. But Eddie Giacomin died at the age of 86. And then literally a week after that, and I'll defer to you in a second, but Bernie Parent, he died at the age of 80. And of course, he had arguably the two greatest back-to-back years of all time. I don't know if anybody else did this. But he won, as you know, in 74 and 75. The Flyers won the cup, their first cups also, right? And he won Conn Smythe MVP in the playoffs, as you know, the Stanley Cup back-to-back years both times, and the Vezina Trophy, which I think back then was still the lowest goals. Now they give it to the best goalie, but back then it was just who had the lowest goals against. And that kind of helped Ken Dryden when he was on the Canadians, for example. But Bernie Parent won those 3 awards back to back, and I don't know that anybody else has ever done that. Ken Dryden popped into my mind, but I didn't have time to really go and look that up. But Parent also a Hall of Famer, as you know, also number retired. But you have one thing that you probably know this too, but he was on the cover of Time magazine in 1975.
It
Bernie Parent.
was The Mask. I had that
Right.
copy somewhere. Yeah.
That's great.
We had season tickets on the glass right to his left. So I saw him
Wow.
whenever we went. Bernie was like, 15 feet from me. And he is the greatest flyer of all time. You can talk about Clark or Lindros, or he is the great. He's known as the greatest flyer of all time. I mean, two Conn Smythe Trophy winners in back-to-back years, and two cups, two Vesnas. He was unbelievable. I still see him. Well, he died recently, but would still see him in every event. He's got his rings on. He has the French Canadian accent. It's a shame he died recently. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, too. Um,
And what was that saying they had about him? The
Only the
religion?
Lord saves more than Bernie Perrant.
That's fantastic.
He was it, man. He was it. And he wore those thin pads. I remember him making a save. I was at game six when they beat the Bruins for the cup. And I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Bobby Schmatz. It might have been Ken Hodge. Took a slap shot that looked earmarked for the corner. And he sticks his pad out. And it's one of the great saves. Late in the third period, he just and the some fun, the comment in the fog game, like he was always calm. It was a kind of a famous line. Some of the players came over to him, just grabbing some water. You couldn't see anything in the fog game in Buffalo the next year. And he said, "Some fun, eh?" He was Bernie. That's how he was, even until he died. Like at these events, he was just Bernie. That's who he was. So. Yeah, the greatest flyer of all time. Very disappointed that he's gone, but certainly great memories of Bernard Marcel Perrant here in Philadelphia. Good stuff, my brother. We'll catch you in a few days, and you can catch Steve stuff on his daily Facebook forum page, Speaking of Sports. We're Steve Kallas, and you can catch me on Instagram at Joe Staszak 975 or on Twitter at Joe Staszak 975. Instagram's 4799. Good stuff, my friend, and we'll catch you this weekend. Good luck with the picks.
Always a pleasure, Joe.
You too, man. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching, folks.